Hi everyone, in this video we're going to be solving the Start Programming Challenge. Now this challenge is going to have us actually writing some code. Specifically, we're going to be using the language TypeScript. And that's in contrast to the previous few challenges where we were working with HTML and CSS, which are the basic building blocks for anything that you see on the web. Now in this challenge, we're actually going to be jumping in and writing some code with the language TypeScript. If you're not familiar with TypeScript is kind of like a different version of JavaScript. Technically, it's a superset of JavaScript, and JavaScript is the programming language which runs in web browsers. So anything that you see on the internet is using JavaScript to create a lot of that experience for you, especially these really advanced web applications like you can think of like YouTube or Facebook or so on and so forth. These are all heavily relying on JavaScript to provide that product experience for you. And then increasingly in the past 5 or 10 years, you can also use JavaScript in other environments, like on servers. However, I would say that in more recent years, in the past 2 to 3 to 4 years, TypeScript is becoming the standard way to write JavaScript, which is why in the Pairwise course here, we are focusing exclusively on TypeScript. All right, that's enough out of the way regarding introductions. Let's go ahead and dive into the code here and get started to solve this challenge. So in the code editor, we have two variables defined at the beginning. They're called smaller and larger, and they both have a type of number. And then we're giving them values of 500 and 100. And then we are saying console.log, and we're passing in this string template literal right here. And so this is just logging out the values of smaller and larger. And then we have another console.log statement down here, which is using this kind of weird syntax, which is a ternary expression. And this is printing out some more text, which is telling us if the smaller value is less than the larger. So if we run this code, we'll see that we have this output showing up over here, and we see we have smaller and larger being printed out. And then we have is smaller less than larger? No. So this output is basically when you run your program, it won't really do anything to show you that it's running unless you explicitly tell it to print out some values or log out some values. And that's what we're doing here with this console.log statement. And that's why this text shows up over here. If we didn't have these console.log statements, we could run the code and we would not see any output over here, but the code still ran, or the computer still executed the code that we have here. All right, now to solve this challenge, we have to simply make the smaller value actually less than the larger value. And so we can do that just by changing it to be less than whatever the larger value is. And if we run that code now, we'll see that that works. And again, you could do this in any way you want. This could be 1000 and this could be 1, and that would also work. All right, so that's going to wrap it up for this first intro video into TypeScript, and we will see you in the next challenge.